It is my absolute pleasure to introduce Serena's senior presentation today. I first got to know Serena right here on the dock tennis courts during her freshman year when she came out for the tennis team. I quickly saw her strong tennis skills, her determination to improve, and her passion for teaching and helping others. I had the privilege to have her as a student in 2019 as I taught the mini-term wilderness expeditions, and in 2020 I had the joy of having Serena in my AP Environmental Science class. Serena has on many occasions made me laugh with her creative responses to questions during circle time in tennis, and she has also motivated me to be more actively engaged as a coach, as a teacher, and as a lifelong learner. She has challenged me to think critically about business, philosophy, faith, and economics in conversations that we have had, and also taught me quite a bit about cryptocurrencies. I've greatly missed her this year and look forward to seeing her again in the future, and I'm so excited to hear her senior speech. Serena, you are hardworking, determined, and full of integrity, which make you a great leader. You are curious, observant, honest, ambitious, innovative, and well-liked. I cannot wait to hear about your future successes. Please join me in welcoming Serena Tan.
Life is a gamble. Everything happens based on choices. That is what I learned throughout high school. Before that, I was a sophomore student who was looking for volunteer work to fill the requirement of social issue class. I was about to go to a bookstore of a thrift store since I met all my requirements such as no communication, working at a warehouse where no customer will cross. However, I found it is too far from where I live. I do not want to spend an hour commuting every week. Just then, my host mother told me that I could volunteer at Dogwoods to take care of elderly residents who live there. Instead of going to a thrift store, I volunteered at Dogwoods where I could be talking to people most of the time. The old man I took care of on the first day was the head of company's football lottery trader before retirement. Unlike working for other financial institutions, casino traders are mostly professional gamblers who will go to different casinos to gamble for self-interest after work. Some of them are very intelligent people, with the discipline and insight of a financial trader. The head of the football lottery trader is such a man. At the end of the day, I asked him, "Is your business model betting against players?" He said no. I didn't understand. And I said that betting companies were betting against players. The odds of winning must be about like 50-50. When I thought he was about to elaborate, he took out a coin from his pocket and asked me if I would flip a coin with him. When I said I don't gamble, he smiled and said, "Well, you will give me $1 for heads, and I will give you $10 for tail. Play or not?" "You don't play tricks?" I asked. "Use your coin and flip it yourself," he said. After I said yes without hesitation, he asked me why I was willing to bet with him. I said, "It's not a bet because my expected return is positive." He laughed. "Then why do you think our profits are based on luck?" I had an epiphany that gambling with positive earnings expectations is not gambling at all. Ever since my experience at Dogwoods, I've understood the importance of daring to analyze the risk, manage the risk, and take the risk. Every decision in life, such as whether to cross the street or whether to pursue a career, is an evaluation of risk and return. I used to do things with only zero risks, which I realized is wrong. People who love to hide from risks usually consider them in the safest spot, but in fact, they're ignoring the big opportunity risk, the risk of missing an opportunity and not getting the benefits they should get. For instance, in a 5% inflation situation, a person who decides to avoid stock market risk and keep his money in the bank and earning only 3% interest constantly is not is not in the safest spot by avoiding investment risk. By contrast, he's taking on a considerable amount of irreversible inflation risk. I'm glad that I learned during high school that risk is a lovely thing, as long as it is affordable and the expected return is positive. Of course, taking risk is not incompatible with your effort. Unlike the dice game in the casino where we place bets based on luck, in our life we can make positive expectations greater through our persistence and hard work. 2017 was the first year I came to the United States. In my freshman year, even though I did not make myself do a lot of challenging work, I still tried so many things for the first time. I performed well in the academic area. I finished all the assignments on time. I'm willing to ask peers and teachers for help without hesitation if I encounter any problem. The project I did in Algebra 2 left a great impression on me. I've built a portrait of Barack Obama with 100 functions on the iPad. It took me about 2 months to finish that. Ever since then, I have discovered the beauty of mathematics. It is one of the projects I'm most proud of, even after 4 years. It's also my first time getting familiar with Christianity. I took the Introduction to Bible as my spiritual class. I enjoyed it very much. Also, I read a lot of books in English class to improve my spiritual area, such as the Book Thief, To Kill a Mockingbird, The Adventure of Huckleberry Finn. Through the books, I had some understanding of world history and different types of religion. My knowledge became more comprehensive by hearing different experiences from my peers. The extracurricular activity is the area I feel proud of. I participated in 3 sports: tennis, basketball, and softball. Although I do not think I played basketball and softball very well, I still enjoy being part of them. Softball was a brand new thing for me since I have never seen or played any game before, and it was hard to engage in a game with other players who had more experience of the sport than me. I also participated in Arts Day that year. I won the first place in photography, and the prize motivated me to engage in a photography competition for the rest of my high school career. I consider my sophomore year to be the most tiring school year for me. As a sophomore, the freshness that I had in my freshman year was gone. At the same time, it was not yet the time to think about college. That year, I took AP Statistics, my first AP class. I also considered the class to be most challenging. In order to keep my grades high among all upperclassmen, I have to work way harder compared to my classmates. Fortunately, I achieved my expectations with straight A's. Taking 2 time-consuming math classes at the same time is also a challenge, especially when the tests are on the same day. I had to arrange my study time very well to be able to review both of the tests. Since I love to consider challenge, risk as my motivation to learn, I self-studied AP Comparative Government and Politics during the spring break. Through the preparation of the test, I found myself having a lot of interest in the political field. For my spiritual life, I discovered the beauty of Christianity. In Mr. Bush's Bible class, I was required to have a close study of Jesus Christ. I found Christ to be a wonderful and a selfless person. The thing he has done have influenced world even today. I continue to participate in school tennis, basketball, and softball team. Even though it is stressful to be part of the team sometimes, I love it more than anything else. For community service, I volunteer at Candy Share Store in Dogwoods. And I love the experience because it taught me life lessons as I mentioned at the beginning. I appreciate how Doc encourages students to participate in volunteer work. With a strong curriculum engagement in the curriculum, I was glad that I could continue to commit myself to community service as I have done in the past. The junior year was special and new for everyone. With a half year of on-campus learning and a half year of off-campus learning, I experienced a lot of things that we had not experienced before. Through the pandemic, I saw a lot of things behind the scenes. When we are complaining about inconvenience it caused, we also have to challenge the inspirations they brought. Trauma hones the skills of individuals. In front of the dilemma, every decision I make matters. During my junior year, I improved academically since I took lots of difficult and challenging classes, and I ended up getting pretty good grades. I also invested a lot of time in the learning process. During the pandemic, I have to keep urging myself to learn and stop relaxing. In the March 2020, I arrived home after 30 hours of a long and difficult flight and 14 days of quarantine. Instead of hearing the welcoming cheers, the sound of a bowl breaking was what I heard when I stepped in the house. Once again, my father and mother were arguing about stocks. I looked at the broken bowl on the floor and sighed. The stock must be bad today. In my childhood, the scenario was repeated countless times. After I went abroad for high school, seems like nothing changed. When the days of market declined, a quarrel was inevitable, as if it had been scheduled. In my childhood memories, stock was something I was both afraid of and curious about. However, this time, I'm no longer terrified of sales and trade. Instead, I've embraced them. Ever since my AP macroeconomics teacher, Mr. Hackman, held the mock stock trade competition, and I ended up being the top winner, I've developed a strong interest in the stock market and decided that economics will be my college major. Over the summer of this year, I had a practical learning at a small financial institution where I learned to perform an industrial analysis of a typical clinical industry, cement. Through the experience, I've gained a deeper understanding of the analyzing process of researching companies, and I'm eager to learn more in the college. When the experience was over, I realized the big progress I made in the 2 months. Before the experience, when I was choosing type of companies I would invest in during the stock simulation game for the AP macroeconomics class, I will immediately Google to find some existing conclusion. Now I'm capable of performing the analysis on my own by studying the financial statement for the past 3 or 5 years. My final report of the project was qualified future trends analysis based on the appropriate models. Building quantitative models in economics and finance have become the reason why I love economics. I did a big trade-off to balance my life, creating the basketball team to spend more time in coursework and pursuing my interests. After I communicated with my coach, I started to doubt whether I had made a beneficial decision to quit the team. I was painful to give up what I'm passionate about for a long time. However, after the school year was over, I could tell that I made the right decision. I would not have that amount of time to participate in business club and math club if I can continue to play basketball in the winter. It was a pity that softball season was canceled due to the COVID. We practiced a half year ahead before the season started. It is sad to see that these things we planned out will not always happen. From that experience, I realized making a backup plan is always important. We have experienced a lot this year. COVID taught me how fragile our lives are. No one will know our destinies until the moment we die. And the virus exposed plenty of social problems like racial discriminations and social inequality. My goal during the summer was to find something to do in the area that I love. Yes, I did complete the mission. I entered at a bank and a financial institution that was responsible for foreign exchange service and stock analysis. Additionally, I entered at a law firm to learn more about business law. At the same time, I developed a ride-giving service in my local community. During May and June, I also tried street vending and clothes-making service for elderly citizens. My senior year is special for me. When most people are suffering due to the restriction of COVID, I turn risk into returns. Besides taking challenging classes and getting good grades, I spent my summer trying out new things with my creativity. My creative thoughts on my invention was raised because of the bad experience on the plane from the United States to China on the March 29, 2020, a date I will never forget. I have to admit that traveling without protective gears was one of the most terrible experiences in my life. I could not bear the pain in my ears caused by two layers of N95 masks and goggles, and the clumsiness of the protective suit. Then my thought became more practical during the days of quarantine. Lying on the hotel bed, starting brainstorming how to mitigate physical suffering and how it is the best to keep things simple while maintaining the same protective performance. After a while, inspiration appeared as if the world instantly illuminated by the sunrise. Hence, I used a pencil to scratch down a design drawing of my ideal model of the new protective clothing. A 4-in-1 suit, containing a hat, a pair of goggles, a mask, and an upper body cover. After quarantine, I filed a patent for my invention. On June 18, 2020, I introduced my 4-in-1 suit at the China Import and Export Fair. My suit got the opportunity of going onto the international stage. I'm delighted that the product could help these long-distance travelers mitigate the suffering of wearing traditional protective gear. Even though I had become a remote learner, I still participate in softball and tennis every week. I even built a softball team in my city and organized several games with other teams from other cities. The second half of my senior year was composed of many lottery games. Every time I click on the status update button, my hope of getting into a school I love would either be ignited or broken. I would not take the application result as a self-evaluation because it is a gamble with not much positive expectation. After careful consideration, I decided to attend UC Berkeley to pursue my bachelor's degree and major in what I have been interested in since beginning of my junior year, economics. A friend of mine who works for an asset management company added this to my list after he heard about my reminiscences of high school life. The younger you are, the more beta you should have. The younger you are, the more risk you should take. If you win, you will get returns. If you lose, you will have time to recover. I couldn't agree anymore. Thank you very much.